Good morning. I'd like to call this commission meeting to order. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please silence all your cell phones. Take a moment of silent prayer. Thank you. I'll begin this morning's roll call with Commissioner Vicki Cos.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Culberson's here. Commissioner Doug Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Stevens. Here. All present and accounted for. Public comment. I have two people signed up for public comment. The first one is a representative from Delaware Township.
Tom.
Tom?
Tom does, yeah.
You want to talk, Tom? Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Tom Dials. This morning's cameo appearance is brought to you while I'm sitting as the treasurer in Delaware Township. I live at 12500 Knollwood in the county. I'm here this morning to talk to you about, I guess, the wanderings and meanderings of the dissolution of the Fire District 1. That, of course, hasn't happened, but with the Supreme Court's ruling, you know that Lansing filed their motion to withdraw from the interlocal agreement, which the Supreme Court judged to be nothing more than a contract, on 15 December 2022, and it is effective as of 26 June 2024. The city has agreed to extend it to year-end for budgetary purposes. We're in a bit of a conundrum in the budget process because Delaware, my township, didn't file its intent to withdraw until the 18th of June. So we technically, if the 18-month provisions in the ILA are invoked, can't get out until year-end 2024. So I can't speak for High Prairie, but I know I've sat in on several meetings with Rob Gaslin and the fire district, and he's trying to get his budget pulled together and wants to know whether he should or not. What we would like to do, Delaware requests that we get on the agenda for you all at your next meeting and talk to you about the transition plan and how all that works, the choreography, if you will. And our recommendation would be, in the case that we'll try and present to you, is let's let the chips land where the townships and the city intended them to, waive the 18-month requirement, and let's get on with it, and then we can get the budget in. Any questions? Hopefully I will see you next week.
I'd like to set that for the agenda next week if the county commissioners are.
Well, I mean, could we have an executive session before that to discuss like our legal, since this has been through court and it's been decided, what is the role of the county commissioners in this before we jump to that conclusion?
I don't think I think we got to the end of July on the taxes, if I'm correct. So I was thinking if we had them present in the same day next week, go into executive, or we could go in earlier and meet whatever the county commissioners feel comfortable with. There's no doubt this calls for some legal advice. So either way the county commissioners want to do this is fine with me, but I think we're on a time-sensitive issue.
Yeah, because budgets are due.
Could I weigh in?
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, I think it would be a good idea to get an executive session before you would take any action, but you might want to hear what their proposal is before that. The challenge being, obviously, time. Yes, you have until the end of July, but you have to set your revenue neutral rate. If you're going to exceed it, you have to put that notice out by the 20th of July. So their timing for them is probably
critical.
They need to know what's happening by the 20th. Might I suggest you consider doing a special meeting where this would be the only item on the agenda, this and a potential executive session. And the only reason I'm doing that is we also have our budget hearings next week on the 10th, which will take most of the day. So, in fact, it'll take all of the day, I'm guessing. So just if you're going to, if you anticipate lengthy debate, a lot of open discussion and an executive session, you may consider just doing a special meeting for those topics. But if not, next week's fine.
I'd sure like an executive session. It's just because this has been through a couple court systems, and we need to really know what our legal role is here.
And you're okay with setting that up after we hear what they present?
Yeah, I just want an executive session before we do any,
I
make
agree.
any decisions.
I agree.
Okay.
So we'll set. Go ahead.
Maybe a special meeting on the 11th then? Would that
What
be
day's the
okay?
11th? Is that a Tuesday?
That'd be the Thursday after
Thursday.
next week's meeting.
Okay, yeah, that should work.
I have no problem with that. I think the sooner we get this addressed, the better it's going to be for every entity.
It'd be very close for me because I have to leave that day, but I can do that.
Okay, so what we would do then is maybe put them on the agenda next week just to give a presentation, and then on Thursday have a special meeting.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah, as long as it's in the morning.
Yeah.
Early as we can.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan to me, if everybody else agrees with it.
Okay.
That kind of leads into one of
Is
my
that-
administrative business questions, which is we also have the outside agencies that need to come in and discuss their budget. We had talked about doing maybe Wednesday, Thursday next week for budget meetings. I'm getting all of the county ones done on Wednesday. I was going to see about bringing the outside agencies in on Thursday, but if we do this, maybe if we move them out to the 17th. There's only like 4 or 5, so it won't take long.
Okay.
Can't we just do that the same day? Because I'm going to be gone the following week.
Is it Thursday?
You can't, oh, you got to leave. What?
I have late, so it's not going to, that won't be
As long
a
as it's
problem as
morning.
long as it's been in the morning and that we get finished by.
So I could schedule
One
both
or-
then on Thursday, the special meeting and the
That's
outside
fine.
agencies.
One or two.
I'm fine with that.
Like 9 in the morning.
Yeah, that works for me, as long as I can be done by like
Tom, does that work for you?
2, thereabouts.
Oh, we'd be done way.
Yeah.
I hope we're
Yeah.
done well before then. I shouldn't say we will be. I hope
I
we're
want Tom and
done.
them to be there.
Yeah, we want Tom to be
Can
okay
you
with it.
manage to
It'll
schedule
probably
that?
it'll have to be Travis Hunsaker, but he can do this as well as I can.
He can
I've got all the
walk across
bullets
the
that he
hall.
needs to talk to. Our position's fairly
Yeah.
simple and straightforward. We just like it,
I
let's
think
not
so.
delay 18 months. Let's let the coins land where they want them to be. And you're exactly right. This whole thing is a creature of the Board of
Legal
County
system.
Commissioners.
So is there, like, to lay the groundwork for you coming, is there some communication maybe could go on with our staff and
I've
attorneys?
provided a point paper to your counsel already, so he can show you the bullets that we'd like to talk to. It's not a very complex position.
No.
Believe me, I don't want to burden you with my legal opinion, so I won't.
We'll schedule it for Thursday.
Yeah, let's set it up.
Any communications we've received to this point from Delaware or from the fire district, we'll include that with the packet. You would have already received them, but we'll
Sounds like a plan.
packet. We'll do it Thursday morning.
Very
Good.
good.
Thanks, Tom.
Very well.
Thank you.
Okay, that's what we'll do. Next public comment, I have signed up Joe Herring.
Morning, Joe.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Joe.
Joe Herring, Herring Surveying, 315 North 5th Street. Happy 4th of July week to everybody. I have a rezone on the agenda today. It's down in an area that it fits the comp plan. It is on gravel roads. They want to go to 2.5, and I think if you've seen the concept plan of it, which are the plat submitted with it, it's the best use of the property with the configuration and the amount of floodplain that is on that property. Planning Commission did approve it. The other item on your agenda today is some regulation changes that have been through a work session up here discussed at Planning Commission. And hopefully everybody had a chance to watch the Planning Commission meeting from this month. It had some very good discussion on topics that haven't really been discussed thoroughly, and some good explanations. I strongly suggest watching that if you haven't watched it. But one of my concerns was still, why are we limiting cross-access easements to 8 lots? We haven't really had a problem with it. We've only had, I think, only one cross-access easement over 8 lots. And they fixed the road problems that we're not, they're not really allowed just to put a gravel base down and call it a road. So that's been resolved. And, along with that, the reasoning for doing it, what's been explained is that these are kind of for family compounds, family plats. I don't recall that. I always thought it was to help developers have an avenue to build something, not as extensive as the county needs for a public road, and to make it a little streamlined, a little faster in the process. As long as we have the statement that the county is never going to take over the road on the HOA, which that's been included. So those items, there's a lot of other items on there. Hopefully you read the packet, ready to discuss it, and look forward to hearing what you say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment from anybody in the room? Seeing none, we'll move on to administrative business.
Well, we covered one of the items already. That's the budget meetings. The outside agency schedule for next Thursday. I did have to remind you about the command staff luncheon. I wanted to ask somebody to.
Right. I received an email and I forwarded it to Commissioner Culberson regarding the CGSC lunch event for the allied students, and I'm not available on that day, and Commissioner Culberson, who normally the chair does that, is not available due to a conflict in scheduling for medical reasons. So we're trying to find if one of the other commissioners would like to talk about county government and speak to the individuals from the international community about county government.
What day is that on?
It's
16th
of July.
And that's the one that the chairs have always done in the past, right?
Right.
And that's over at the...
luncheon at the riverfront.
At the Riverfront Community Center.
I did it for 2 years. If no one else wants to, I'll step up to the plate on it.
Would anybody else have? We can. Right, you're going to be gone, so.
You want to do that then?
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Would you have whoever's in charge have them give me the information? I haven't seen it.
You want to get it?
Okay.
Too?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
forward it to you.
All right. Very good.
All right, thanks.
That'll work. Anything else, Mr. Lothar? You have for administrative? Okay. Anybody on the board have any administrative business to go?
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to remind everybody that, the campaign season's going on, and if any of our employees are being threatened by candidates who are running for office because they're supporting their candidate they don't believe in, they need to report that to Human Resources if it's a candidate or if it's someone running for office that's currently in an elected position. Everybody needs to treat everybody cordially, and
Right.
everybody has the right to support their own candidate.
Absolutely.
That's what the United States is all about.
Yep.
If
Agreed.
it's happening on the job, it needs to be reported to Human Resources.
Absolutely.
I agree. Or, and if it's happening in the community, then people need to make the report to law enforcement or the Ethics Commission, because it's not acceptable for anyone to feel threatened when they put their support behind another candidate. So that's, and I think that one of the other things is, what are we doing with, our signs are becoming prolific. I mean, with people putting, and with the change in the legislator says that, all the signs can be placed in the right-of-ways. But what are we doing when it comes to our employees?
Mowing.
Yeah,
Mowing. Mowing.
Commissioners, I think, in the past, the right-of-way, they said you couldn't put a sign in the right-of-way, and then the legislation changed that where you can. And I think there's maybe some confusion on that, because I think people still have property rights. Most of the properties go into that right-of-way, and you still have property rights on what's on your property. It used to be, for right-of-way, you had to put it back outside of the right-of-way. Well, now if you can put it in the right-of-way, I think, first of all, that was probably specifically for state right-of-way. But people still have their property rights, and you can't place your signs on somebody else's private property without the permission. So I think you need to be that needs to be pretty clear. But if it's in the right of way and our mowers are out there, our mowers mow over a lot of large items that get covered in the grass. So I don't expect our staff to get out of the vehicle to move items that are in the right of way if they can just mow over the top of them.
Yeah, I've had a few.
Mow over the top of,
I've had a few shredded.
Yes, and
over
trust
the
me,
years.
there are things that you wouldn't think would get mowed over that get mowed over.
Well, I just, because the signs are expensive too, so if they're going to get
Yeah,
mowed
they
over,
are.
I think people might want to make sure
Probably,
that they.
yeah,
Yes, they are.
I suggest you don't put them in the right of way, and it's not like we're out mowing every right of way every week. It's twice a year we try to get the entire county right of way, and that's only on county roads, right? That's
Right.
inside the city and on state highways. That's not us, but I don't think there should be an expectation that our folks are going to get out, move a sign, mow, and go put the sign back. I would expect that they probably are just going to
Zoom.
move on.
Yeah. Well,
They got a lot of right of way to mow, and the grass usually gets pretty tall in between mowing.
but KDOT owns the right of way.
On state
On state highway, KDOT owns the right of way. The county roads are an easement.
Yes, so the people who, on the county roads specifically, the property owner still owns to the middle of the road. It's just the
Okay.
right of way.
An
Typically,
easement.
there are some exceptions, but very few.
Thank you.
So basically, don't put your political signs in county right away where we mow. Put them where the grass is still tall.
Or on anybody's property.
Property, unless you have property owner's permission.
Yeah. Okay.
Good enough.
Important tip. Anything else for administrative business? If not, we'll move on to the consent
I did
agenda.
have one question
Oh.
for Mark. This library board nomination, anything come of that, or do we have any?
I don't believe we've received anything.
What's the deadline for that?
I don't know that there's an actual deadline. They wanted somebody as soon as possible because there's an opening. So
Yeah, I even
get
re-
somebody-
Keep working on that.
I reached out to somebody too for that, but I didn't know they had not applied yet.
As to my knowledge, we have not received
Okay.
an application.
Okay.
And it is on the website. We put it
Yep.
out on Facebook, and it's very specific on the location. Basically, you can't live in an existing library district. So pretty much the south end of the county is either Baser or Linwood Library or Tonganoxie Library. In the cities, in Lansing and Leavenworth have a library, so it's pretty much everybody on the northwest corner of the county. Northwest.
Okay.
And there's a map out there that shows who's eligible if anybody has questions.
Okay. Move on to consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, begin voting with Commissioner Cos.
Aye.
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 Consent agenda passes. Moving on to formal board action. Consider a motion to approve an MOU between the Veterans Affairs Medical Center, the First Judicial District, Leavenworth County Supervision Agencies, Leavenworth County Attorney, and community treatment providers regarding Veterans Treatment Court.
Todd, them back there.
Todd, you want to? Oh, okay.
Linda Huggins.
Okay. We're ready.
Come on down.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, the MOU is basically to allow for the two supervision agencies that we have, Court Services and Community Corrections, to both supervise cases that are under the Veterans Treatment Court. It doesn't add any cost. It takes the cases that the statute already designates that must be supervised by community corrections and just allows those veterans the benefit of being in the Veterans Treatment Court. So we had to redo the MOU to allow for multiple supervision agencies where the old MOU just was limited to court services. So that's the primary reason why we've brought that to you.
Okay.
It also kind of includes the ability of exchange of information as well, right? I mean, with some of
It's- Yes, the MOU is to support the communication between the supervision agencies, the treatment providers, so we have both the VA and the Guidance Center. It also allows for other treatment providers, such as Haskell, to come on board to the MOU. And all of the providers in the MOU provide information to the Veterans Treatment Court. Judge Bryant sits on as the judge of the Veterans Treatment Court. He wanted to be here today, but he's out this week, so I'm here.
Good.
And if you have any questions,
I don't.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a MOU between the Veterans Affairs Medical Center, the First Judicial District, Leavenworth County Supervision Agencies, Leavenworth County Attorney, and community treatment providers regarding Veterans Treatment Court.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Begin voting with Commissioner Cox.
Aye.
Absolutely.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
And thank you, Linda, for
Thank you.
coming on board to serve as the coordinator for the whole Veterans Court. So we
Thank
appreciate
you.
having you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Next, consider a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-14 and approve the rezoning as outlined in case DEV 24045 based on the findings of the golden factors as set forth in the staff report and as substantiated by the findings of fact adopted by the Planning Commission. Morning, John and Amy.
Morning, gang.
Good morning. All right, before you is case DEV 2445, which is the Cooper rezone. This request is to rezone the property at 25402 Metro Avenue from RR5 to RR 2.5. The future land use map has this designated as residential 2.5 acre minimum, so it is compliant with the future land use map. The Planning Commission did consider this at their June meeting, and they recommended approval on a 9-0 vote. If you have any other questions, please let us know.
Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd make to move that we adopt Resolution 2024-14 and approve the rezoning as outlined in case DEV 24045 based on the findings on the golden factors as set forth in the staff report and as substantiated by the findings of fact as adopted by the Planning Commission.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, begin voting with Commissioner Cox.
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Next, consider a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-15, proposed amendments to the Leavenworth County zoning and subdivision regulations, Articles 3, 22, 33, 35, 40, 43, and 60. Again, morning, Amy and John.
Morning, Commissioner. Before you is a request to amend the zoning and subdivision regulations. The articles are 3, 22, 33, 35, 40, 43, and 60. This item has been reviewed multiple times by both this body and the Planning Commission. The last time you guys saw it, you guys had 3 recommendations for changes. First was to remove or amend the limitation on floor area for home occupations to 75% of the floor area for any structure on the premises. That was supported by the Planning Commission. The second one was to remove the allowance of ownership transition in a special use permit within 60 days of a new owner buying the property. That was removed, and the Planning Commission did support that as well. And then the third thing was to remove the agricultural conservation easements from the proposed language amendment, which the Planning Commission did also recommend approval as well. I did note during when we were drafting our Appendix A, there was a switch in the language under the recreational vehicle park. The Planning Commission recommended 12 months. Unfortunately, when we were moving this over to the resolution, it got switched to 6 months. So I just wanted to clarify that the Planning Commission recommended to this body 12 months be the minimum time or the maximum time that a recreational vehicle can be parked in a recreational vehicle park. Otherwise, the rest of it is compliant with what the Planning Commission did approve. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Does that include in RV parks that they're only allowed to be there 12 months?
Existing RV parks?
Yeah.
That would not include those. They already have their approvals.
None of these regulations are going to be retroactive. It would be from this point on. So any new park would have to comply with that.
I thought, didn't we also, you're talking about conservation easements and the floodplain. Weren't we just going to do whatever FEMA,
Right,
whatever FEMA recommended?
We struck all of that.
Okay, and then productive ag ground, and when we strike that?
We struck all of it per your direction.
Is it in here?
Yeah, should be in the red line.
A lot of red lines.
Now, accessory dwellings. Say somebody builds an accessory dwelling. Does it have to be for a family member, or can it be for a rental?
Accessory dwelling unit. Well, this is a It can be for a rental. It could be for a family member. It's only limited. It's only limited by the square footage.
Okay.
We didn't have a previous definition of what an accessory dwelling unit was, so we added a definition. You mention it in other portions of the regulations, but you give no definition for what it was. So this is to clean that up.
Okay. And why do we reach out to fire departments when you're doing a plat? I mean, why? I mean, we don't reach out to the sheriff's department to see if they're going to provide police protection. I mean, we got to get a letter from a fire department on a plat, correct?
Correct. We actually do reach out to emergency management, and that is lumped in with all of those same emergency services. The reason we send that out to a fire department is to make sure that the resources and staffing that they have are adequate to address those new lots in a platted subdivision. If they reach a point that they don't believe that they can provide fire protection services, then we need to know that in the platting process.
If you were given a notification that they couldn't provide those services, would that hold up a plat?
We would present that to the Planning Commission and tell them that emergency services cannot be provided per the letter that the fire department provides. Now,
under state statute, they're required, though, to provide that.
Well,
and mutual aid. Everybody has mutual aid.
Again, we defer to the authority having jurisdiction to provide that opinion. That's why we notify them.
So I think it would be problematic if
our department said we're not going to
we can't provide services.
It could be, but at the end of the day, that's the reason to notify them so that they have the opportunity to comment.
And has there been a change in that compared to how we used to handle it compared to now?
It used to be that we notified each one of the water companies, each one of the emergency service elements. Now that is the responsibility of the applicant, which is normally how it's done in most jurisdictions.
Okay.
I still think, given some of the, on that, some of the shortages that kind of occur frequently within all of our fire departments, that's kind of, tomorrow that might not be, when you're doing a plat, or yesterday it might have been okay, but tomorrow it might not be. So is that really something that we want to, I'm just curious that we want to.
I don't see why it hurts to put those out since we're putting them out to everybody. It's just a catch-all to say, I know if I was wanting to build in that area,
right.
If the fire department told me they could not provide service this time for whatever reasons, I'd be concerned. At the same time, most of them have MOU, so if somebody can't get to you in time, in fact, we're going to be dealing with that next week, can't get to you in time, then maybe there's some other agency that can respond to it. I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it just putting everybody on notice that we've got some issues here, and it's a safety issue.
I just was.
Oh, I understand what you said.
Is there any possibility that we could delay this for a little while so we'll have more time to kind of review it?
It'd have to be 30 to 60 days because we got the budget. But yeah, I agree. I'd like to go over a little more.
I'd like to thoroughly study this before we actually say we adopt it.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind that because I also think, because I have just some things that I've looked at and said, why? And I'll ask now, why 8 for the crossing?
Because that's the division of minor and major plats.
Okay.
The intention, as Mr. Herring had talked about before, he thought that may be as I understood it, may be a nod to a developer to allow a quicker path to development. As I read the history of that particular requirement, that seemed to be intended for families to plat and not having to put in a road to a county standard. And the intention here from a staff level is to make sure that whatever public improvement is constructed on a major plat, it's constructed to a public standard.
Commissioners, if we're going to delay this, it would give us time to then also make sure that the language matches between the Article 3 definitions later in the document if you do delay it. And I think most of the commissioners that are here sat through the same work sessions, not singular, plural, on cross-access easements and private roads. There was a lot of discussion. I think that the idea that actually kind of the impetus was private roads.
Right.
And private cross-access easement. And I think Bear Lake was actually the example that was used a lot during those conversations about a successful private roadway, and that really, from a county's perspective, we would like to stay out of maintaining those roads when possible, because our equipment really isn't designed for city streets. So I think that definitely if you want to delay this, those would be things that you might want to, we can go back and look at that, but I think all of you sat through those hours-long meetings to discuss cross-access easements. So,
I'd like to just have some more time to really consider it and talk to some people. And this 8-house limitation, from my recollection of the discussions over the last 5 years, I think we were trying to help encourage development, not discourage development. And I think that was part. I'm not sure arbitrarily setting the 8-house limit was ever in the. I don't think that was ever discussed.
Right,
I think this is a new thing. So I think before we do it, let's really think it through.
I have no problem with delaying it, tabling it.
I had a question too on when we're talking about the roads on a no outlet road. You know, we're going to have the 50-foot radius.
Right.
Are we going to require that on county roads that are no outlet roads, and somebody wants to do a plat?
Well, if you have the road frontage along the platted road on a county road, then you have the minimum required road frontage. If you build the road inside, say, a 2-lot subdivision, and you're asking that the road frontage come from a CAE, which I'm assuming that's where this is going, then the road frontage requirement typically ends in a cul-de-sac so that you don't have a large amount of public improvement to get the minimum road frontage to have a buildable lot.
No, that's not where I'm going with it. I just wanted, if, say, there's a no outlet road and it's a mile down the road before it dead ends, and somebody a quarter mile off of a road is going to build a say 3-4 lot subdivision, and there's no turnaround except for just pulling in people's driveways. Are we going to require the no outlet road to have a cul-de-sac at the end of it if there's a development close to it?
We wouldn't require them to do off-site improvements. Again, the road frontage would be the determining factor.
Okay.
I think that I don't know what you call it's probably a cul-de-sac, but I think the point of those are to give you enough road frontage, not for the turnaround.
Oh, I thought it was for emergency vehicles to be able to turn around.
Is that right, John? That it's more for the frontage that's required?
It's a double element there. Yes, typically developers use that so that they can limit the amount of capital expenditure to get the minimum road frontage, so they don't put in an excessive amount of road. But you're also right, Commissioner, in that cul-de-sacs traditionally are used for emergency turnarounds for ambulances, fire trucks, and emergency vehicles in general. So both are considerations when you're going through the platting process. But you don't typically require off-site improvements in residential subdivisions if you're stripping off frontage for the purposes of a singular lot or 2 lots on a platted road currently. If you're placing a road inside an interior subdivision and you have a cul-de-sac, then yes, typically that serves 2 purposes. 1, road frontage, and 2, emergency turnarounds.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we table this until the second week of September.
Okay. I have a motion.
I'll second it. Yeah.
A motion and a second. Further discussion. I agree with that. There's a couple things I wanted to go over with us too, so I was hoping we would have a work session before. For instance, I think everywhere it says on these cul-de-sacs 50-foot diameter should say 50-foot radius, because you're really going for a 100-foot circle, right? So almost everywhere it says 50-foot diameter. So we need to go and change all those to radius. Another question I had was, it says there's a digital copy required to be filed. Do we need to get more specific about what type of digital file? You could take a picture of it, and send a JPEG, or are we talking about a DXF or a CAD file or something like that? So I didn't know if we needed to get more specific.
Yeah, typically it's going to be a CAD file.
Okay, so I didn't know if we needed to list that more specifics, things like that.
We
needs to be
can.
specific.
We can.
Yeah, okay. So we'll have a motion and a second on
You
the
got a
floor.
motion and a second, but was you talking about having a work session before the final vote?
Well, we can do the motion to table, and then we can ask Mark to set up a work session before we come back.
Okay, so I didn't know if that was part of your motion.
I could,
You want to amend it?
Withdraw and amend.
All right. I'm sure we can decide that later.
So leave it same. Okay. Begin voting with Commissioner Cox.
Aye.
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 All right.
So we'll table that.
And Mr.
Thank you.
Lawford, can you
Further
set us up
future date.
in August sometime, a work session on that?
I will review the schedule and let you know what we have.
August should be a little clearer.
We'll get the budget through the budget.
Yeah. Okay. Next, consider a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-13, amending the Leavenworth County Comprehensive Plan in whole or in part with findings of fact.
All right. Before you is the annual review of the 2024 Comprehensive Plan, the 2020 Comprehensive Plan, the 2024 Annual Review. As required by state statute, this body has to review the Comprehensive Plan annually. The goal is to ensure that the directions that are being taken by the Leavenworth County is in compliance with the Comprehensive Plan. During this time, staff and the Planning Commission can also recommend amending the Comprehensive Plan, which we do have a few amendments that were proposed to you, primarily amending the strategies that were established as part of the Comprehensive Plan and adopted with the Comprehensive Plan. And those are outlined for you in the resolution 2024-13. If you have any further questions about that, please let us know.
I have one question. When we have open positions or we had specific departments that were assigned the responsibility of some of these things, and right now I think we have an opening that's, is there?
That can happen throughout. It could be, so we just, if
Who would be assigned is what I was.
Just be assigned.
Yeah, right. So would it, but naturally
You don't need to
probably.
amend the comp plan.
Right, but the assignment would most likely go to planning and zoning, or would it be in administrative?
It would come to me, and then
Administrative?
I can delegate it.
Okay. That's all I wanted to make clear was that in the event that happens, that it goes to you, and then there's an assigned person that will take care of and accept responsibility for that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Shouldn't this be tabled too?
Well, I don't know. I had just a general question for you, and we've talked about this before, but when we review this comprehensive plan, we are not making typically major changes to the plan. We are tweaking the plan.
That's correct. The annual review is not a wholesale rewrite of your comp plan. It is a review of where you're at in your action matrices table. What actions have you taken to accomplish the goals of that plan? And on an annual basis, you want to review that and components of your plan to make sure there are no major issues that are relative to the structure of that plan. It's been done by your Planning Commission, and the only elements that they intend to address are the elements that are within the action matrices that are basically cleanup.
So, that being said, as the director of planning and zoning, do you see any upcoming in the next 5 years, any major changes that we need to make to our comprehensive plan?
I don't think that you're going to have major changes in your comprehensive plan in the next 5 years. You may end up with some sub-planning areas depending on what happens with major manufacturing. What comes to mind is Panasonic, but that will not be a wholesale change to your comprehensive plan. That will be another tool utilized to plan around what happens at Panasonic.
And in response to the Panasonic plant, what we have so far, have we already started sort of addressing some of those things?
We're looking at land uses. There are secondary and third-tier land uses that are logically going to occur around Panasonic. There are other elements that will play a part in that, but it doesn't result in a wholesale change in your comp plan.
That's all I have.
Okay.
I don't hear that.
I'd like to just put these two together and table it.
Yeah, I think it should be tabled also if the other one is. Same reason. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move that we table the 2024 comprehensive plan review to the second week of September.
Second.
Second meeting in September.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Begin voting with Commissioner Cox.
Aye.
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 We'll move that one too.
Thanks, gang.
Thanks, folks. That's all I have for formal board action. Presentations and discussion items.
Vicky's first.
We'll start with Commissioner Cos.
Participated in the Transit Authority meeting last week after this meeting, and I think, and then just as a week, I'll be at the meeting next week, but we'll be gone that Friday, all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and be back Tuesday afternoon. I will be representing the Board of Directors of the Transit Authority in Santa Fe for the annual meeting, and as they represent the Kansas side of the bi-state group. So
a lot of stuff getting pushed onto that with everything going on in the Kansas City area.
There's a tremendous amount of change and growth going within that, and the preparations are constantly underway of FIFA, planning for FIFA, and the things that go along with that, and we have some good things coming. And then I also participated in the Workforce Partnership Board of Directors meeting, and then the training that followed that. And we have a new apprenticeship program that is being brought to us through the Workforce Partnership and a grant, and it's an opportunity for young people between 16 and 24, and then businesses to develop apprenticeship programs, and it's a great opportunity for young people. So I would encourage individuals that are interested, even from the business aspect, to reach out to the Workforce Partnership and take advantage of this opportunity.
Those are like 57,000 vacant jobs in the state of Kansas, nobody to fill them.
But it's an issue. It's an issue for everyone across the country, I think. But I just think this is a great opportunity because it's something that can allow a business to kind of mold that individual in their apprenticeship to kind of what they see as important. And there's some things for opportunities for technology businesses and I mean all different types of businesses. So.
You got any kids living in your basement playing video games? There's jobs for them.
Yeah, but it's just, and Workforce Partnership really does have really good programs for training individuals who are looking for
There's a
jobs.
lot of opportunities.
Or wanting to change careers.
Yep.
So.
A lot of opportunities for folks.
Everybody's hiring and nobody's got a job. Makes no sense.
The world's changed.
It has changed over the years.
Best either.
But that's it. That's all I have.
I just have a couple things. Lansing had their July 4th celebration. The weather came through but held off for us at the end. It was well attended and,
It was.
and a great fireworks display.
I watched it from my house.
Yeah, a few of us could. Like that. The only other thing is I just want to wish everybody have an enjoyable 4th of July.
Same here.
I don't have anything other than a plug for Easton's having a fireworks show. That's usually really good. They're having a parade and a band before the fireworks, starting at 5 o'clock, I think, in the city of Easton.
Band any good?
South Band, oh, they're all right.
You know any members of them, Jeff?
They're the world's okayest band.
They're an older group.
Yeah, they're getting older.
Senior citizens?
Yeah.
Boy, what a beating.
What time does this all start?
5, I think, is the parade.
It has to be early with that band, with the age.
Gotta be early.
It'd be early with the age. Hey, Mike, it has to be early with the age of the band.
Yeah, you can't say
And
it.
They gotta get to bed early.
Yeah, Fort Leavenworth has an event on,
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
this evening. Isn't that this evening?
The fort.
Is it tomorrow? It's tomorrow. Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
So
They have a
Pacer has a parade, right?
No, the 155th closed this year.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Well, had to take a year off for that big project down there.
That's right.
Okay.
Doug, you got
No, I don't really have anything. I actually missed the township board meeting
lots of
last
stuff to
week.
celebrate.
Oh, man, you missed the township board.
I did. I usually do.
That probably happens once a year.
It's been a while.
Mike, you have anything?
I don't, but I'm probably going to be in Easton.
Okay.
Oh, and Doug, isn't there, I think that there was an announcement of a High Prairie Township meeting at the Grange,
Well,
right?
I
Or
haven't got
not?
anything official. They just reached out about having it.
Or
there.
potentially on Monday, so
Monday, yeah. But I haven't seen anything official.
just as an update for,
Update on kind of follow-up, I guess.
right.
Haven't seen anything official.
Okay.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And
So
we have a work
moved.
session in 5 minutes afterward.
So moved.
Second.
Voting?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. We are adjourned.